Fairytales.
Hansel and Gretel, The Witch's Revenge, a tale of courage and magic. The forest was a place of shadows and whispers, where the sun barely dared to peek through the thick canopy of leaves. It was here, years ago, that Hansel and Gretel had faced their greatest fear, the wicked witch who lured children into her gingerbread house. They had escaped, their bravery etched in their memories, but the forest still held a chilling power over them. Now whispers of missing children echoed through the trees, and the fear that had once been banished returned, stronger than ever. Hansel, now a skilled hunter with eyes as sharp as a hawk, felt the weight of responsibility settle upon his shoulders. He remembered the witch's cackle, the smell of gingerbread, and the fear that had gripped him as he and Gretel struggled to escape. He knew that the forest held secrets, secrets that could only be unveiled by those who dared to venture into its depths. His sister, Gretel, was no longer the timid girl who had trembled at the witch's touch. She had grown into a strong, resourceful woman, her eyes reflecting the wisdom of the forest. Together, they decided to investigate the disappearances. The villagers, haunted by the memories of the witch, were terrified. They told stories of a shadowy figure, a woman with glowing red eyes and a voice that could charm the birds from the trees. Hansel and Gretel knew they had to act fast. They packed their bags with supplies, their hearts pounding with a mixture of fear and determination. As they entered the forest, the air grew heavy with the scent of pine and damp earth. The trees seemed to close in around them, their branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. The sun, a pale disk in the sky, struggled to penetrate the dense foliage, casting long, eerie shadows. Hansel, his senses heightened, listened for any sound that might betray the presence of danger. He saw a flash of movement in the undergrowth, a pair of bright yellow eyes peering out at them. A black cat, sleek and sinuous, with a long, bushy tail, darted away, disappearing into the shadows. Gretel, her hand resting on the hilt of her dagger, felt a shiver run down her spine. She knew that the forest was not just a place of beauty, but also a place of danger. She remembered the witch's gingerbread house, the sweet scent of gingerbread that had lured them to their doom. She knew that this time, they had to be more careful, more vigilant. They had to find the missing children before it was too late. As they ventured deeper into the forest, they came across a clearing. In the center of the clearing stood a gnarled oak tree, its branches twisted and gnarled, its leaves rustling in the breeze. Beneath the tree, they found a small, wooden cabin. The cabin was dark and silent, its windows boarded up. A faint, sweet smell, like honey and cinnamon, drifted from inside. Hansel's heart pounded in his chest. He knew that this was no ordinary cabin. He knew that this was the witch's lair. Gretel, her hand on her dagger, felt a surge of adrenaline. She knew that they had to be careful. They had to be cunning. They had to outsmart the witch. She remembered the witch's sweet, seductive voice, the way she had lured them into her gingerbread house with promises of treats and warmth. She knew that they had to be strong, to resist the witch's charms. They had to save the children. Hansel, his eyes narrowed, approached the cabin cautiously. He saw a faint glow emanating from beneath the boarded-up window. He raised his hand, his fingers brushing against the rough wood. He felt a strange energy, a dark, malevolent force. He knew that the witch was inside. He knew that she was waiting for them. Suddenly, the door creaked open. A woman, tall and gaunt, with long, flowing black hair and piercing red eyes, stepped out. She wore a black robe, its edges trimmed with silver. Her lips, thin and pale, curled into a cruel smile. She was the witch, more powerful than ever, her eyes burning with an unholy fire. She held a staff in her hand, its tip glowing with a sinister light. Hansel and Gretel stood their ground, their hearts pounding in their chests. They knew that this was a battle they could not win with brute force. They had to be clever, to use their wits to outsmart the witch. They had to find a way to break her spell, to save the children. The witch raised her staff, her voice echoing through the forest. "You dare to return, children?" she hissed. "You think you can escape me again?" Hansel and Gretel exchanged a look, their eyes meeting in a silent pact. They knew that they had to act quickly. They had to find a way to break the witch's spell before she could harm the children. Hansel, his eyes darting around the clearing, noticed a small, silver bell hanging from a branch of the gnarled oak tree. He remembered the witch's weakness, she was afraid of silver. He knew that the bell could be their weapon. He quickly reached for the bell, his fingers brushing against the cool metal. He pulled the bell, its chime echoing through the forest, a sound that sent shivers down the witch's spine. The witch shrieked, her eyes widening in fear. She stumbled back, her staff falling from her grasp. The children, who had been trapped in the witch's lair, heard the sound of the bell and felt a surge of hope. They knew that Hansel and Gretel had come to save them. They shouted, their voices echoing through the forest, a chorus of desperate cries for help. The witch, her power waning, turned and fled into the darkness of the forest, her screams fading into the distance. Hansel and Gretel, their hearts filled with relief, rushed into the cabin and freed the children. The children, their eyes wide with gratitude, embraced their rescuers, their tears mingling with the joy of their newfound freedom.